rookie who has just been stomping everybody. Doesn't matter what club they're from. So, you know, the team kills of Ronin, that's perfectly fine. Oh, you're with EXO, that's fine as well. I'll take you down just as easily.
Yeah, and man, his team is just so aggressive. The 𝗵𝗫𝗺, the 𝗵𝗫𝗺, the 𝗵𝗵𝗺, and hey, power to 𝗵𝗆. I believe he was one of the lone tamers still working with the 𝗵𝗵𝗺, still showing everybody that 𝗵𝗵𝗺 is a force to be reckoned with, or not a force to be messed with. 𝗧𝗵𝗺 though, coming to this tournament knowing that aggro might just be the most predominant typing that he, or most prevalent team to be facing off against, so I feel like he knows how to play against these aggressive teams. But man, maybe Boohe knows exactly how to play against almost anyone, right? We saw him take down 𝗂𝗀𝗄𝗵, 𝗂𝗀𝗆. Can he do that against 𝗧𝗵𝗺? I mean, I don't know. 𝗧𝗵𝗺 maybe perhaps the most wins in Temtem history in terms of rank wins, right, Rawrzyyy? I think he's gotten something like 2,000 rank wins, so he's so experienced.
Yeah, an absolutely absurd number of ladder matches played by Rishi. Not even just while he's streaming either. This guy could take a month off and play 500 matches in that time, where the rest of us are maybe playing 20 or 30. Maybe the more actives hit 100.
Yeah,
This guy is just a maniac, playing so much. So, I mean, we know he knows how to deal with these kinds of teams. He's led with a pretty aggressive start here. The Amphitheater, it's got that thunder. Yeah, I mean, now Plague as well towards 𝗧𝗵𝗺. Essentially, this was just a hard counter play. Rishi figured if anything comes in here that, you know, doesn't want to fight 𝗏𝗁, then I pick 𝗏𝗁, and if he picks 𝗧𝗵𝗺, then I pick anyone else, and I'm perfectly fine.
yeah, those lightnings, those electric Temtems are such a problem for Boohe's squad, but of course, so is the 𝗬𝗍. For an aggressive nature team like Boohe is working with, then the 𝗬𝗍 is your worst nightmare for those first 4 turns. You never want to be facing off against the Nagas. You're always going to be going last, because we saw Boohe's Temtems were so incredibly fast. So yeah, but you know, as you said, Rawrzyyy, this opener though from Boohe's side, what can he really do? Thunderstrike onto either spot, Plague onto the 𝗧𝗵𝗺. Man, oh man, this is looking a bit rough. I guess you're looking at a maybe double swap if you're able to pick up this 𝗵𝗇. 𝗵𝗪𝗇 to eat the Thunderstrike, 𝗵𝗇 to try to eat, or you know, either or. 𝗵𝗪𝗇 to try to eat one of those attacks, 𝗵𝗇 to eat one of those attacks might be the best bet to go. But yeah, kind of rough. You know, when you double swap out, you lose a lot of tempo. You get 𝗧𝗵𝗺 gets some free damage on those Temtems. So we'll see. I don't think it's completely going to paint the entire picture though, but 𝗧𝗵𝗺 definitely has a bit more aggressive with that early counter pick.
Yeah, and we kind of mentioned it during the semifinals, or maybe the quarterfinals. I'm not entirely sure, but Boohe's team is not built for swapping. If he makes any of these changes, if he double swaps and he takes free damage, that is so much damage. We saw how weak this 𝗵𝗇 was to some tornadoes before. And granted, that was a 𝗵𝗺. 𝗵𝗺s are incredibly powerful against 𝗵𝗇s, but I mean, a Plague did like 30%. So definitely, Boohe's not one that can afford to swap. This may just be double in and hope for the best. It's a little scary, but
yeah,
it is what we see go for the aquatic whirlwind from this 𝗧𝗵𝗺, targeting down 𝗵𝗪𝗇, just hoping that the Fiery Soul's enough to kill. Plague outspeeds though 𝗧𝗵𝗺 down to 42%. If 𝗏𝗁𝗆 does the same, then this is definitely going down in Fiery Soul. 𝗵𝗪𝗇 survives even after the burn, and 𝗧𝗵𝗺 is just not as lucky. Double Plague, too much to handle.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I mean, we saw 𝗧𝗵𝗺 was the fastest Temtem on the board, but that's no longer here. Is 𝗵𝗵𝗺 enough? Is 𝗵𝗵𝗺, or I guess the 𝗵𝗪𝗇 of your own? You just need to plague that spot, and you're not too bad situation. Of course, 𝗂𝗀𝗆 already used a 3 prio technique, and that wasn't fast enough. So he has to rely on something like this 𝗪𝗍𝗇 or that 𝗵𝗪𝗇 to try to do the job. But I guess 𝗧𝗵𝗺 could just swap out of his own. Maybe something like that 𝗂𝗀𝗆 to try to counter either the Mashuk, or not the Mashuk, what am I saying? All right, we'll be 𝗵𝗶𝗺𝗫. So a little bit of that mirror match right there. 𝗵𝗶𝗺 v 𝗵𝗶𝗺. What does Mr. Rishi do here? So he doesn't want to let 𝗵𝗶𝗺 go, but I guess he can, right? Because if you don't let him, if you swap out, that's just free damage for Boohe to capitalize on. And you don't really have a swap, right? Maybe Volcrane, but you have to eat a Plague if it comes in for Volcrane.
Yeah, I don't think that swapping is the right play for Rishi just because of the speed on Boohe's side. If Volcrane were to come in, you know, Plague is neutral damage. It's not going to be too detrimental, but then Rishi has to consider 2 Plagues or Tornado and Wind Burst before the potential Stone Trench comes through. So everybody does stay in place. The 𝗵𝗶𝗺 falls down, Plague towards Tolkien to trap it in, force it to take, you know, potential DV and Stone Ball next turn. The Wind Burst back on Wulfhy is pretty respectable damage as well, down to 67%.
Yeah, but man, without this 𝗵𝗶𝗺 on Mr. Rishi's side, nothing is really going to be connecting with that Tokon that effectively. As you said, maybe those Earth techniques, maybe a Stone Ball into Dust Vortex, those are both neutral into both of Boohe's Temtems. So maybe take advantage of Tokon being trapped in, and Tokon does put a hamper on that Nidrasil in the backline, so you do want to deal with it as early as possible. It does have a double screen, so might be out of range. 81%. DV plus a Stone Ball, is that enough? It might actually, honestly. Knowing Boohe probably has so much speed that it doesn't have too much bulk. So we're just gonna have to see. Of course, Volcrane could just simply Embers or something for effective damage on 𝗵𝗶𝗺. But I think you want to take advantage of the Tokon being trapped in. So trying to get it out of the way, not too bad. Because 𝗵𝗶𝗺, as we said earlier, he can Plague. But that's just neutral damage onto either spot. Doesn't guarantee the kill. Unless a little Tornado is added to that.
I think that Rishi's pretty much okay just going for the double there. I don't think that Volcrane would fall down that turn. I know that he has abysmal base special defense, but Rishi's probably planned for something similar to this, right? He doesn't have the most Tems in the world to fight Tolkien, so he's got to have calced for this. He has to know these tornadoes are going to be coming through, outspeeding probably both the DV and the Stone Ball. You know, just because of the base speed being so low. The Plague does come through, so 𝗵𝗶𝗺 stays in. Tornado following up from 66%. Volcrane down to 19, so yes, he does hold on. The DV, not enough to OX, and more than half of what Tolkien had remaining. Doubling with that Stone Ball. Tolkien goes down, and now, you mentioned it before, there's no real hard counters for a Nidrasil Tolkien run from Rishi.
Yeah, the only exception being is that 𝗵𝗵𝗺 hedge in those Hellfires, Fire Tornadoes do pack a punch on Nidrasil, so not completely out of the woods in terms of options, but we'll see. I think that was good. I was thinking he was going to Plague Tornado the Wulfhy, but Mashuk just counters the Wulfhy so well, so I think that was the right option for Boohe. Take down the Volcrane. You don't want to let it get things like that Stone Trench off to keep himself protected. So, you know, now he's in a simple Plague range. And the Nidrasil could come out. And so can the Tokon. Because 𝗵𝗶𝗺 overexerts if he wants to get anything off here. So let's see. This is looking like a Nidrasil, and it is for Mr. Rishi. What does he do for Wulfhy, though, is the question.
Ooh, the Thunder Strike targets down Wulfhy instead, potentially expecting a swap. Not going to do anything, and overexerting on 𝗵𝗶𝗺. Uppercut comes through and it hits Nidrasil, so just back and forth, doubling well, not doubling, I'm sorry, splitting into the wrong spots for what was on the field.
Yeah,
I don't know, that was that was still okay though. I think the Nidrasil coming in for Rishi is huge. Wulfhy surviving though is pretty scary for Boohe, because now even if 𝗵𝗶𝗺 were to leave, it would be in a lot of danger. The DV does come through. It looks like it's going to take itself out of the picture, though. No, The overexertion was not quite enough. But the Toxic Ink is enough. 𝗵𝗶𝗴, you fall down.
Yeah, poor soul, but hey, he did a lot before going down, but now out comes the hedge, and so I think Boohe accounted for this. And hey, I called him Boohe, but Boohe Boohe accounted for this. So now bringing out this hedging, which is hands down the fastest Temtem on the board. A simple little Plasma Beam should be enough to take down this 𝗬𝗶𝗴, even though it overexerted. So you don't have to. You could just try to Plasma Beam the 𝗧𝗲𝗺 just in case it wants to go for a narcoleptic hit on this 𝗧𝗪. But you know, it is the final 2 Temtems for Boohe. But I feel like these 2 Temtems might be enough. But honestly, that 𝗂𝗀 in the back, now looking at the scoreboard, yeah, maybe 𝗂𝗀 actually wins this game for Rawrzyyy. It's going to be close though.
Yeah, the cage comes through. Nobody tries to leave though. 𝗬𝗀𝗆 falls down. Narco, it does so much damage. 𝗧𝗪. Holy cow, you do so much, but you are so fragile.
And hey, luckily for Boohe, he had that reactive bomb, so nullifying him against that 𝗂𝗀, not too bad of a move there. And you get that 15% recovery. So maybe he's able to get off of wastewater, but oh man, these guys are making quite the argument for Heater. I know sometimes because you haven't had the time to re-TV train a whole nother bird. But yeah, both of the finalist birds are Heater. But I think earlier on, that 𝗵𝗶𝗴 might have just died if it was Pyromaniac from a Fiery Soul. So maybe there's a good there is a good argument for both, honestly. But okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Targeting
the
down.
Plasma Beam wastewater on Tolkien. It's doing 50% after that poison tick. And tireless proccing as well means later on, not later on, 𝗧𝗪 still falls down. Even though it's nullified, it doesn't have the special defense to survive that fight.
Yeah, not at all. And I think 𝗧𝗪 not being focused down from something like a Hellfire. I mean, now Fire Tornado is online, but that just leaves 𝗂𝗀 with that tornado. Or honestly, maybe just a wind burst into a tornado could just be enough. And Volcrane in the back maybe goes down to a simple Plasma Beam. Oh, but he is working with harmful microwaves. Is that enough? No, it's not. 9.5%. And Maximus is running low on stamina. And oh, forget the stamina. He's running low on HP. So Mr. Rishi doing light work. Not too light work, but Mr. Rishi commandingly winning that match. Congratulations, taking that game number 1. Is he gonna be taking it home though? That was really well played on both sides, but Mr. Rishi just slightly more ahead throughout that game. Go ahead and jump into it. Perhaps the very last game, if Mr. Rishi has it his way. Game number 2 of the grand finals. And it looks to be the same bans there. Boohe not liking that Deceit Aura, and Mr. Rishi not liking that 𝗬𝗶𝗴. Actually, wait a second. Boohe did have his 𝗬𝗶𝗴. So who did he ban? Or maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of Rishi's 𝗬𝗶𝗴. No, they both.
Yeah, Rishi did have the 𝗬𝗶𝗴. I don't think Boohe had 𝗬𝗶𝗴.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, 𝗬𝗶𝗴 just counters Skada Volt, the Volcrane. Yeah, I think that was the ban from before.
A good lead though from Rishi with this 𝗵𝗶𝗴 and 𝗬𝗶𝗴. They just work so well together. I don't even understand it because they're both weak to similar things and neutral to similar things because of their nature typing, but it just works. They do some good work together. They have a lot of speed with those plagues. The DV and Thunderstrike gives a lot of versatility, and they both are able to heal. Bright Beam giving yourself some relaxed turns on 𝗵𝗶𝗴, and Bush or Lifeful Sap just giving you pure revitalizing power on 𝗬𝗶𝗴. These two are often led first and last alive as they just have that staying power.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, with that overexertion prowess too, the double plague or just the plague potential, just making your opponent use 50% extra stamina on their techniques is huge. And as you mentioned, the priority is always a thing. These Temtems are quite speedy. But Boohe has really aggressive Temtems for both of these sides. I mean, the both can be said, but Fiery Soul is 3 priority. and then wastewater should be enough to bring 𝗵𝗶𝗺 down. So maybe 𝗧𝗏𝗡 has to swap. But if Boohe wants to read that, what if he Fiery Souls uppercut on the 𝗬𝗏𝗶 instead? Or honestly, I think this game, if you switch out, you lose a little bit tempo. So I wouldn't be surprised to just see everything stay in. 𝗵𝗶𝗺 just trying to go for a big old Thunder Strike potentially on that 𝗂𝗏𝗺. But we'll see. This is going to be game number 2, as we said, of these finals. Is 𝗧𝗏𝗡 the champ right here, right now? Or does Boohe want to bring us into that game 3 situation? But all right, Peter does proc right away, as of course.
Yeah, this is definitely a good lead for Boohe. I think a lot of it comes down to, does 𝗵𝗶𝗺 stay in hopes that its Thunder Strike will outspeed the Mashuk's Wastewater? I think that it would. I mean, unless this Mashuk really is max speed and 𝗵𝗶𝗺 is base. Even then, I'm not entirely sure. I know Mashuk is pretty speedy. But the Volcrane swap and expecting 𝗵𝗶𝗺 to be the target. Fiery Soul does come down to this Volcrane for only 9% in Wastewater. Not going to accomplish anything thanks to that chamomile. Now Mashuk is trapped in place due to that plague. Tolkien free to come and go as he chooses, probably choosing to stay here as a tornado would do some pretty good damage into Volcrane and would leave a fire tornado for 𝗬𝗏𝗶 the following turn.
Yeah, very true. I dare say maybe an uppercut plus a tornado does get a confirmed kill on the 𝗬𝗏𝗶. And the only thing that could maybe swap in for that Volcrane to eat those attacks will be a 𝗧𝗏𝗺. We did see how much a Dust Vortex plus a Stone Ball did, so maybe just staying in. But oh, 𝗬𝗏𝗶 receiving that tick of burn, 30% reduction, not going down just yet. So this 𝗂𝗏𝗺, but oh, throwing it all at Mashuk here.
Yeah, playing the game a little bit differently now. Maybe thinking Tolkien would leave, but it's still enough to kill Mashuk. This is just such a powerful Earth duo in a meta that doesn't really see too many Earth Tems. But now Boohe's got to be looking at this. This Oshiara looks so good right now. 𝗬𝗏𝗶's starting to get a little bit lower in that, well, the HP for sure, but also the stamina range. So, I mean, even if Oshiara decides to target the Volcrane spot instead, Tolkien is definitely bringing this 𝗬𝗏𝗶 down before it's able to accomplish very much.
Yeah, definitely. I believe Oshiara on Boohe's side will be the fastest Tem on the board. And you know, 𝗧𝗏𝗡 playing this so amazingly well. Taking a look at the scoreboard, of course, why gun down 𝗂𝗏𝗺 when you have that big bag 𝗧𝗏𝗺 in the back that completely obliterates the 𝗂𝗏𝗺? So yeah, 𝗧𝗏𝗡 recognizing where his priority should be focused on. And that was the Mashuk there, and getting the win or getting the kill. Very, very big there. I actually didn't think, because both of those attacks are neutral. Or actually, isn't 𝗹𝗶 effective into Toxic? Man, but hey, Fire Soul 3 priority doing the job on the 𝗬𝗏𝗶. And they're trying to read 𝗵𝗶𝗺. Does go for Blizzard, but is half damage nonetheless.
Yeah, not very much there. That was a pretty good play from Rishi, knowing that Tolkien was going to be targeting down that 𝗬𝗏𝗶 spot, giving Oshiara the freedom to attack 𝗵𝗶𝗺. And 𝗵𝗶𝗺 just not minding one bit. It survives, it's happy, it's healthy. It can fight Oshiara like a true champion. And Tolkien is low enough on this stamina, probably not fast enough to outspeed 𝗵𝗶𝗺's Thunder. Tolkien would probably be going down if it wanted to go for a fire tornado.
Yeah, if he wants to go down swinging, we have to see, of course, these two Temtems that 𝗧𝗏𝗡 just brought out are so effective into the current board of Boohe. If he just focuses something like a Thunder Strike into Toxic Ink, that just might be enough. I mean, if it's super straightforward, Oshiara is doing literally nothing on this board. Aquatic Whirlwind is 1/4, I believe, into Yggdrasil and 1/2 into that 𝗵𝗶𝗺. So maybe Vlash coming in there could be the read 𝗧𝗏𝗡's trying to go for. So might just Thunder Strike the 𝗂𝗏𝗺 if it wants to stay in. But at the same time, 𝗂𝗏𝗺 is the low stamina Temtem, so that's the usual swap in. But this is tricky. I think if 𝗧𝗏𝗡 just focuses down together, it will be looking good.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with you in the long run. I think that the 𝗧𝗵𝗶, still being in the back, still perfectly healthy, is pretty happy to fight Tolkien at the end. There's still, I mean, with 𝗏𝗁 with good HP, 𝗏𝗯 is not free and clear, Maximus is not free and clear. If 𝗧𝗏𝗺 goes down right now, Boohe's in a pretty difficult situation where he just needs to kind of spam attacks into 𝗧𝗵𝗆 as soon as it hits the field. The Aquatic Whirlwind comes through. Neither of these Tems is really going to mind. It's 1/4 damage on the Yggdrasil. The Plague does so much damage back under that 𝗧𝗏𝗺. Tornado towards Yggdrasil as well, so covering both bases. It's a decent overexertion there, but Yggdrasil finds itself at 15%. I think that might be enough for Rishi, though, taking down that 𝗧𝗏𝗺. Now Boohe has got to struggle. 𝗵𝗺 certainly doesn't feel happy anymore, but nobody wants to fight this 𝗧𝗵𝗆.
Yeah, no one indeed. Not even the big bad wolf 𝗏𝗏. I mean, he has a kill potential on Yggdrasil, but that's such an easy read for Rishi. Just swap in 𝗏𝗁. Dokkan next turn doesn't really do too much, even though Tornado does enough, but not enough to kill at 76.5%. So this is inching closer and closer to Mr. Rishi's 3-time victory. I never want to speak too soon, but man, getting those 2 Temtems out of there are very impressive. Now 𝗧𝗏𝗺, no answers as you mentioned, but going for the 𝗵𝗺, ignoring the Yggdrasil for right now, and does some big damage. But Dokkan, speaking of big damage, looking to be heading out of here. So Dokkan no longer a threat against the Yggdrasil, no longer a threat against the 𝗵𝗺. And maybe that was the only damage possible on the 𝗏𝗁 as well. So 𝗏𝗁 looking like an MVP in that back line too.
Yeah, I mean, now it would be down to the harmful microwaves, and if 𝗏𝗏 is somehow able to set up, if it gets a madness buff, it's heavily resisted by 𝗏𝗁, but the really bad special defense means it might be able to do 25%. Combine that with the harmful microwave or 2, and it might be enough to bring 𝗏𝗁 down, but then you still have a pretty big wall to climb with this beetle, this 𝗧𝗵𝗆. It's effective damage into both of these Tems, Fire Tornado on 𝗏𝗏 and Thunder Strike onto Hedging.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. The Plasma Beam should be enough. So getting that Scavenger proc, giving a little glimmer of hope over to Boohe's side. And speaking of Scavenger proc, another one. So double kill for Mr. Rishi, but I think he was accepting the inevitable, just letting those 2 Temtems go. And now these 2 Temtems are the real raid boss for Mr. Rishi. How in the world is he dealing with those? I mean, 𝗧𝗏𝗺 alone, as you keep mentioning, will be winning this game for Mr. Rishi. He could generify here to try to negate that Thunder Strike coming in, but there's no bamboozle for 𝗏𝗏. A Stone Ball will be bringing him all the way down, most likely. Is there a way for Boohe? I just don't see it here.
Yeah, it's pretty slim pickings at this point. If Maximus does generify, it will buy him a little bit of time, but he's not going to be able to deal that much damage before he's just taken down anyway from being doubled in so many times. Because absolutely, Boohe does not have HP defense, special defense on these Tems. 𝗏𝗁 is going to do so much damage. 𝗏𝗏 being poisoned, already being down at 87%, it's pretty much guaranteed 𝗏𝗏 goes down this turn. Whatever it does now is the last attack it will have. So it's got to really make it count. The Plasma Beam, the Crystal Spikes, they're both on 𝗧𝗵𝗆, and they don't really do anything. That was, I think, 30%. So the Thunder Strike just brings Maximus Hedging down in 1. That's a nice scav buff on 𝗏𝗏, but now the Stone Ball.
Man, huge with the synergy. Stone Ball getting the victory. So Mr. Rishi, congratulations, ladies and gents.